The Montana's Briers coming up March 1st to the 10th in the Brand Center. Matt Dunstone will be there. He's pre-qualified, and he joins us today. Hey, Matty, welcome back to the RP Show. It's been far too long, brother. You're looking good. You're looking fit and trim. Are you ready for the Brier?
Roddy, it's good to see you. It's been a minute, so happy to be back on the show. I'm feeling as good as I'm going to be. Getting excited for it.
Oh, good. Well, you are going to be. I've talked to the folks in the Queen City. You're like the hometown favorite, man. Are you prepared for that? You wouldn't expect it, but are you ready for the roars?
I think so. I mean, I'm very excited for it. I was happy to see we weren't in Saskatchewan's pool, so we didn't have to compete with that. Obviously with how passionate the fans are, I know full well they're going to be jumping aboard Team McEwen and riding them, and it's going to be a great week for Team McEwen in that sense. But I'm really excited to come back to Regina. Kind of where it all started for me. My first Brier was there. So excited to be back and see a lot of familiar faces.
For the uninitiated, can you explain how you qualified in advance for this and didn't have to worry about the playdowns?
Yeah, so there was a new rule that was implemented last year. They were giving out 3 wildcard spots after provincials. And as of last year, it changed. They're going to give these wildcard spots prior to any of the provincial playdowns, which to me made a lot of sense because, it gets our provincial playdowns back to winner take all, loser go home type mentality, the way it's kind of always been. Whereas, the last couple of years, you had two teams playing in a provincial final that both had a wild card spot locked up, so it took away a little bit of the meaning of those provincial finals. So we've eliminated that now. So now after this year, there'll be 4 teams, or 3 or 4 teams depending on who Team Canada is, pre-qualified into the Brier, which I think is a great thing for our sport. I know we've enjoyed having the clarity of what our schedule is going to look like going into a season, been able to plan for it. Obviously, we want to peak at the Brier, so that's helped in that sense. So I think it's a really good change. And you saw across the board, all the provincial playdowns meant a lot more.
Oh, absolutely. And we had Mike McEwen on here a couple of weeks ago, and smart guy, that Mike McEwen. I said, because people were writing in going, this isn't right. How does McEwen represent Sask? And he goes, hey, it's the rules, and just because a Skip's doing it for the first time himself, this has been going on for years. He answered it very well. And hey, I've had long talks with Rachel Holman about this. The restriction's been taken off the athletes. It's that way in all other sports. But you're sure hearing a lot of talk about it, aren't you, Matt? I don't know if it will ever go away.
No, I don't think it ever will. I mean, the foundation of the Brier and the Scotties is the provincial representation, right? I think it's an incredibly unfair ask of Canadian athletes being restricted to a single province to go and compete against teams at the world level who are from everywhere. I mean, our World Junior team for hockey, imagine if we sent only Alberta players, only Quebec players to the World Junior Hockey. Like, we'd laugh at stuff like that, right? We'd think it's ridiculous. Because to compete at the world level, when you have a provincial restriction where it's not going to work. It did for a while, but now the fact that the matter is the rest of the world is caught up to us, and it's impossible to compete being a single province against an entire country.
So, what color will you wear into the Brand Center?
Yeah, so it's obviously not going to be green this time around. And surprisingly, it's not going to be yellow either. We're actually running a blue color. It was a little throwback to Kerry Burtnick's team in 1981. For whatever reason, back in those days, Manitoba had some blue to it, so that's what inspired us. So if you look at Kate Cameron's team at the Scotties right now, you're going to see our uniforms look very similar to that, and that's something we'd known since basically we qualified last year, that we were going to run with those uniforms. So we've got some Kerry Burtnick inspiration heading into the Brier in a couple weeks.
There is a legendary name from days gone by. Well, the storylines going into this Montana's Brier seem like an all-time high. Or do we say this every year? Do we say every year there are great storylines going into the Brier? Because it just feels like they're better this year.
It seems like it's every year that, there's kind of something. But again, when you get down to that final weekend, there's so many good teams. It's, to pinpoint a single team that's going to run away with this thing. you're probably kidding yourself if that's the case. I mean, there's such a good group at the top where, whoever's going to bring it, whoever's going to take, advantage of those opportunities and ride, any sort of momentum that's given, that's going to be the team that you see. And it's a great thing for Canadian curling. I know the level of competition amongst ourselves has increased drastically just with how good, Brad is, obviously, and Brendan and Cooey and Jacob's team and with how good Mike's team has been this year. I mean, you just go down the list. I mean, you can't give any of these teams an inch. And I know, it's motivated all of our teams to, just continue to try and be better, or else you're going to get eaten up alive.
Well, okay, I'm glad you brought that up. It's a little like NASCAR, like the drama away from the track is more than what's on the track. Same thing with curling. And apparently, Mike McEwen said 2 weeks ago that Ben Hebert said to McEwen's third, Colton Flash, you may be representing Saskatchewan, but that's my town, Regina. And I'm like, what a Hebert thing to say. Is there any of this trash talk going on? What?
That is a very Benny thing to say. You know what? I want to let the fans of Saskatchewan decide, who's their number one player, or who their number one person to cheer for is. I can say this with 99.9% certainty that Team Saskatchewan's going to be getting a lot louder roar than Benny Hebes is going to be getting when they announce Team Alberta. So
how about that?
You know what? Having played in the province, I know how much the fans get in behind their team. Regardless if it's Mike, if it's me, Pat Simmons, Steve Lake, you go down the list, Kirk Myers. They get behind their team, the team that is wearing their colors. And you know what? Benny's a good Regina boy. God bless him. But you know what? I know full well that the people in the Brand Center are going to be cheering for Team McEwen and Saskatchewan.
Hey, Ben, it's not your town anymore. Jury's out if it ever was.
How about
Message
that?
to him. But you've done this, you made it all the way to a semifinal representing Saskatchewan. What's the pressure on Mike McEwen? Because this is real stuff, Maddie. You know that. How do you deal with that when you're in your own stadium?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to bring up 1980, but 1980.
Yeah.
It's been that long, right? And it's a blessing and a curse. I mean, to be that guy, to be that skip, like Mike has that opportunity to. I know that was like he has a chance to make history in Saskatchewan, right? Break that infamous curse that we all love talking about in Saskatchewan, and forever go down in history. So I mean, it's an exciting moment for him and his team to have that chance to go and do that. I know that's what excited my teams in Saskatchewan is we desperately wanted to be that team, to forever be remembered that broke that infamous curse that we love to talk about. Of course, there's lots of pressure, but Mike's no stranger to playing in front of the hometown crowd. He did it at the Brier in Brandon not too long ago. He did it at the Olympic Trials in 2013 in Winnipeg. So he's no stranger to that type of pressure, and having the crowd on his side that are living and dying with each and every one of his shots, and he's a phenomenal player too. I was very happy to see him go to Saskatchewan. To kind of revamp, give it some life, and obviously a lot of hope. I mean, type of player he is, and his team, they're a great team. So to see them, make a deep run, be there at the end of the week would be very unsurprising amongst all of us in the curling community.
Well, he said was born in 1980, and I've never met him other than interviewing him. I've met you several times, but he seems to have ice water going through his veins. He doesn't seem too flappable, and that's probably what you need in an event like this in the Queen City. Well, Matt, good luck, man. I'll be pulling for you. You know that. I appreciate the time, and go get him.
Thanks, Roddy. It's great to catch up. Hope you're enjoying Florida there.
Absolutely, bud. Can't wait to bring curling here. Let's bring the world's here. All right, Matt Dunstone checking in from Team Dunstone. You can still get your tickets at curling.ca/tickets and be in attendance in the Brand Center in the Brier March 1st to the 10th.